Okay, so we'll start our session. We'll see today another set of pseudocode questions and we'll solve them. Okay, so every time try to understand how I'm solving every line. Okay, just understand the line how I'm solving, right? I hope there will be a delay because this is a live session, right? You may have a delay about while I'm typing and while I'm speaking. There will be a delay between typing and speak, right? So you just catch the point. Okay. See, generally he'll never go with very big scenario based questions. Okay. A basic pseudocode questions will be given nearly 10, and I hope other 10 questions may be related to some functions and recursions, and 5 questions may be related to data structures, and you will have another set of 5 questions that is based on theoretical questions like what is the time limit taken to execute this type of code, or what is the amount of memory will be used by this code. Okay, this type of questions you can see 4 or 3. Okay, remaining will be most of them will be a normal based pseudo question, and function based and recursion based, and only little amount of questions you can see on data structures and that concept oriented questions like hash table, graph, right? All this stuff. So we'll see the first question today. We'll try to solve a 15 more questions today and try to practice the exam at target. Okay, I have shown you the exam where the exam is, right? So you can see this as pseudocode Capgemini. Okay, so you can see this exam. Okay, if you log in into your target, just log in into your target and you can see this exam. Okay, pseudocode Capgemini. So this is where we are facing our exams. Okay, of course you can't see all this type of questions here, all this type of courses. As I'm an admin, I can see all this stuff. Okay, you can see only pseudocode Capgemini. You just log in into your target and just write the exams. Yeah. So now predict the output of the following pseudocode. So we had declared three integers, that is 50, 25 and 5. And now he is going with an operation, right? A star B by C plus C. Okay. So generally this type of questions will follow BODMAS rule, right? That means the priority, right? Now both the star and by operator has the same equal priority, right? So as they are having same priority, so which operator arrives first, that will be executed. That means multiplication will be executed now. Okay. If there is a division, if here there is a division, and if here is a multiplication, then division will be executed first. Okay, division will be done, and then it will go for multiplication because both multiplication and division operator has the same priority. Okay, right? Both have same priority. So now he is asking to multiply these two numbers and then divide it. Okay, so we'll have 5 into 25. Okay, even I'm not that much in good calculations. Let me do that stuff in my ideal. Okay, so he has given a equal to some 50. Okay, that is 50 into 25, right? 50 into 25. So then 1250 by C in the sense 5, 250 plus C is 5, right? So we'll get 255. So the solution of this code is 255. Okay, we'll see whether it contains 255 or not. Yes. So this is the answer for this pseudocode question. Okay. See, you don't think that I have done here multiplication first, right? That doesn't mean that multiplication will be happen first. Okay, multiplication is happen because it is at the first. Okay, as divide and multiplication has the same priority, so which operator arrives first, it will be done. Okay, now multiplication has been arrived first, so the operation of multiplication has been done first, and then it is going for division operator. So the last priority has been taken by addition, because when compared to multiplication and division and positive, that means addition operator has less priority, right? So if we mention any bracket like this, then this operator should be done first, right? We know all this stuff. If they have mentioned any bracket, that means they are giving priority for this addition now. Okay, so based on the priority, you can execute the code. Okay, based on the priority. Okay, and we'll see the second. Okay, now you can observe. See, the priority has been changed, right? So there is a difference between first print statement and there is a difference between second print statement. As they are using the same variables, they are using the same operands, but they had given a priority to subtraction, right? They have done first subtraction and then they went to multiplication and then division, right? So the priority has been changed, right? So definitely the first print statement will give you a different solution and the second print statement will give you a different solution. Okay, so we had declared some integers a equal to 40 and b equal to 35 and then c equal to 20, d equal to 10. About the output following two statements. Okay, what you want as an output. Okay, is asking that the two solutions differ by 160 or they are same or they differ by 80 or differ by 50. That's what he's asking, right? So let us execute first the two statements, then we can get the clarity. So I'll go with that. He had declared some a equal to 40. I'll go with the 40 into b, that is 35. Okay, by c is nothing but 20 minus 10, right? 40 into 35 by 20 minus 10. We got 60. He's using the same operator, but he had given some priority level, right? So we'll see that. So we got 140. So 60 minus 140 in the sense, the difference between the 60 and 140 is 80, right? So definitely our solution will be 1. Okay, definitely our solution will be differ by 80. So this is our answer. Right? This is our solution. As we have executed both the statements, now this is your answer, right? Because they are difference, they have a difference of 80. 140 minus 60 in the sense you have 40 there, 40 here, that is 80. Yes. We'll see this section. Okay. What will be the output of 1 minute? Okay. So we have integers. We have three. We had declared three integers a, b, c. Now, if you go for the second line, if you go for this line, now we had initialized all the values, right? We had declared all the values. We have discussed that set in the sense there he is giving a values to the variables what you have declared. Right? So he is giving the values to A. So now A is equal to 8. Okay. He had stored 8 in A, and he had stored 10 in B, and he has stored 6 in C. Okay. All the three values has been set. Okay. The values what he have assigned there has been set. Okay. Now we had compared the first point is that is 8, right? 8 is greater than C in the sense 6. Yes, it is true. As we are writing unconditioned, when you go with unconditioned, the both the statement should be true, right? Then the condition will be executed. Otherwise, it doesn't check for the condition, right? If any one of them is false, it is false. So we have checked first condition, and the second condition is B plus C. So what is B here? 10. 10 plus 6, it is 16. 16 is greater than 8. Yeah, this statement is true. Okay, so that means it prints 8. Now it is printing the value exists in A is 8. So we got 8. Okay, and if is been ended. Now it is checking the second if block also. See, if you write a code by using multiple if statements, every if statement should be executed. Okay, because we are not using elif here. All the statements, all the conditional statements have been written by using only if. We are not using if, elif, else, right? All the conditional statements have been written by using only if. Okay, we'll see. First we'll see how it is getting executed, so that you'll get an idea. For example, if 2 mod 2 equal to 0, I am telling to print that hello. Okay, and I'm writing again an if statement. If 4 mod 2 is also equal to 0, then print it. Right? So if you execute this statement, you'll get both hello and world, right? Because you are using multiple if statements. That means if your code contains multiple if statements, then you should check all the if blocks. Okay, if the if block is true, then you should execute them. Okay, what if I use elif here? I got only hello, even though my elif statement is also true, right? Because 4 mod 2 is 0. That means my elif statement is also true, but it is only executing if block. So that means if you write a code by using if and elif and else, that means only one statement will be executed. Okay. Even though all the statements are true, it doesn't check for the next statement. As the first statement itself is true, it doesn't check the second statement. Okay. So first if true and kabatti, it doesn't checking the second elif. Okay, if this if is false, then it will check the second statement. For example, if I make this as 5, and if I run this code now, yes, the word has been executed, right? Because the first if become false, then it is entering into elif. Okay, so now we got a clarity. Okay, if any code has been written by using multiple if statements, then you have to check all the if blocks. Okay, if the code is written by using if, elif and else, then only one condition will be executed, and that condition should be true, right? So even now we have to execute in the same way. So we have to compile this code in the same process, okay, by using same concept. Okay, so it is 8 printed because our first if is true, and he is using another if. Now we'll check whether this if statement is true or not. If this if is true, then you have to print that B also. Okay, if this if is false, then you don't print that B, it goes for next if. Okay, so C greater than B. What does C is 6, right? 6 is greater than B. No, right? 6 is not greater than B, but he is using OR condition, right? So when you go with OR, now you are trying to check at least one statement is true or false. So we have checked the first statement. Now our task is to check the second statement. Okay, because we know that only OR will be executed, only one statement is true. Okay, that's why you have to check the both the statements. Okay, so I'm checking the second statement also, that is A plus C. A is nothing but 8 plus 6 is nothing but 14. Okay, 14 is greater than 10. Yes. So when you compare this statement, you'll get a true as an output, right? That means this if block is true. So as this if statement become true, it goes down and it print a B. What is B? It is 10. 10 is also get printed. Okay, you got 10. And now it is checking the third if statement. Okay. Now let us check what is the third if statement, that is B plus C. So what is B? That is 10 plus 6, that is 16. Okay. So 16 mod A, what is A? 8. 8 is equal to 0, right? Mod A equal to 0 is comparing, right? Even this is also true, yeah, because 8 2s are 16, right? So when you divide 16 by 8, absolutely you are getting result as your remainder as 0. So that means your third if is also true. So now it enter into the third if block, and what you are printing there? You are printing 6. That means now your code has been fine. Okay, you completed all the statements, you have checked all the statements, and finally you got a result. Now your result is 8 10 6. Okay, let us see whether this option contains in the block or not. Yes, 8 10 6, right? So this is the output of the following pseudocode. Okay, so you have to remember one thing, that if the code follows multiple if statements, every if statement should be executed. Okay, check whether the if statement is true or not. If that if statement is true, then print the content what is inside that if. Okay, if the code is followed by multiple, like if else, then you have to execute only one condition will be executed. Okay, that one should be true. Okay, yeah, fine. Now we'll see the next thing. Okay, so first, what is the output of the following pseudocode? Let us compare. So he has declared an integer x. Okay, that means he is initializing an integer called x, and he set a value called 259 to x. Okay, now he stored 259 into x. So if x equal to 0, no, this statement is false, because he is checking that 259 is equal to 0. No, that is false. Okay, చెప్పండి. మ్యూట్ చేయలేదు, అన్మ్యూట్ చేయలేదు చూసాను. ఓకే, సారీ, ఐ ఫర్గట్ టు అన్మ్యూట్. ఓకే, I hope I'm hello. I hope I have unmuted this from the beginning or now. I didn't see. Yes, I'm getting phone calls. Okay, I forgot to unmute. Okay, so I hope you people have my number right. So you can tell me where I have unmuted it. I have unmuted it from the beginning or from only from this question. I have. Okay, I can start. Okay, I can start from now. Okay, fine. So we have declared some x equal to 259. So here we have if. Okay, first we have to check the if condition whether x is equal to 0 or false only, right? X is not equal to 0 because your x is 259, that does not equal to 0. So first if is false. So if you see here, we have mentioned otherwise. Otherwise in the sense, this is written in a format of elif. Okay, so if first if is false, that means you have to enter into elif. Okay, so it enter into elif. Okay, what if your x is 0? What if your x is 0? If your x is 0, so then it will print here. Okay, it will print the statement. Okay, so now I have set a value x equal to 0, right? So if I set x equal to 0, now this if will be executed, and now it doesn't check all the statements. Okay, it doesn't check all the remaining statements because these remaining statements have been written in elif. So how we know that they have written in elif? Because he's mentioned a word called otherwise, right? So that means he's telling that if the first if is true, then only execute the remaining state. Then if the first if is false, then execute the remaining. Otherwise, don't execute them. Okay, if this is false, then execute this. Okay, otherwise don't execute them. Okay, so yes, we'll go to the 259. Okay, now the value of x is 259. So your first if become false. Okay, now we'll go to the this if block, elif block. Okay, so elif x mod 9 equal to 0. No, because recently we have seen the value of 259 mod 9 equal to 7. Okay, so 7 is not equal to 0, right? So this is also false. Okay, this is also false, so it doesn't printed 9, and it went to the next elif statement. See, if you can see otherwise, this otherwise indicates that they have been written in elif. So only one condition, only one block will be executed. Okay, so now x mod 9 is 7. That means it will print 7 as an output, right? So your output is 7. Okay, we'll see the following code and we'll see the we have 7, right? So 7 has been executed, so we got our solution as 7. Okay, so you get an idea. If the code having multiple if statements, you should execute all them. Okay, if the code is having a if elif else, only one will be executed, only one condition will be executed, and that condition is which is true. Okay, only that condition will be executed. So I'll make this into a syntactical form so that you'll have an idea. That means they have written by elif here. Okay, and this is nothing but else. Okay, so that otherwise mentions that this is elif and this is else. So first you have checked this. Okay, first you have checked x mod equal to 0. No. So x equal to 0. No. If become false, then it went to elif. Elif is also false. Finally else has been executed. Okay, so this is how this code is getting executed, right? So that otherwise indicates they have been written in elif and else parts. Okay, okay, he had declared some integer arrays. There is an three different arrays, a, b and c, and each and every array has a length of 5. That means every array contains 5 elements in it, and he declared a value k, right? And okay, so I hope there is no one here, I think so. So k, now set array. Okay, he is giving some, he is assigning array. Okay, that is a. Now your a contains some elements, that is 1 2 3 4 5. That means array a has been declared by default, and array b is also declared by default, and these are the elements of array b. Okay, these all are elements of array b, and 1 2 3 4 5 are the elements of array a. Okay, two arrays have been declared. Yeah, if you observe the code, he is forming the third array, that is c, right, by using these two different arrays. By using a and b arrays, he is forming a c array. Okay, so we'll see on which base condition he is forming. Okay, for k. Okay, for k, that means k is equal to 0, k less than or equal to 4, k plus plus. Okay, so we had written a loop that starts from 0 and it reaches up to 4. That means 0 1 2 3 4. That means you have 5 elements. Even your c is also forming 5 different elements, right? And now you made a of k and plus b of k. That means that is equal to, so first your k is 0. So a of 0 plus b of 0. So what is a of 0? It is 1 plus 6. Okay, 1 plus 6 is 7, and then so you have, it will print 7 here. Okay, you got 7. I'll form C array. Okay, see ikkada I'm forming a C array here is equal to, okay, the first element of this array is 7 because 1 plus 6 is 7. Fine, and again now your k is now 1. A of 1 plus b of 1, that is 2 plus 7, you will have 9, and now your k will be 2 and b will be 2. So 8 plus 3, that is 11. So 11 is also formed. We are forming a C array. Okay, we are forming an array. Okay, this loop is written to form an array C. Okay, and now a of 3 plus b of 3. That means he's adding every element, right? Yeah, we can come to a conclusion that he's adding every element. He's adding every element. Okay, he's adding a of 0 and b of 0 and he's forming C, right? That means you will get a final result of all the values have been added. Okay, 9 plus 4. So what is 9 plus 4? It is 13, and 10 plus 5, it is 15. Okay, finally you have formed a array of C. So C is a array formed by adding both A and B. Finally we got that, and this loop will also ended because the iteration has been completed. Now he is written another loop. Okay, and now he is printing all the elements. That means you will get 7 9 11 13 15. Okay, these elements, all these elements will be printed. This is the output of this code. Okay, we'll see. Okay, 7 9 11 13 15, we got the same, right? So all the elements which contains both A and B have been added, and they have been stored in C, and now he is printing the C. Okay, finally all the elements have been printed. So see, if you see any type of code which has some comments like line 2, so that means this was written in line 2, and if you see here he's telling go to line 2, that means he's again resending the code at to line 2. Okay, we'll see, finally we'll understand clearly. So he declared two variables, that is c and n, and he made a c n equal to 6. Okay, finally we have a 6 in n. And now after this third line, what happened, c is also equal to 6. C is also equal to 6 because he made n to 6, n to c, that means c is also equal to 6. Now he printed a c, that means the output of this is 6. 6 will be printed, and now your c became 4, right? Your c became 4, that is 6 minus 2 is equal to 4. Now your c has been changed to 4, and now he checked whether if c is greater than 0. Yes, because it is 4, 4 is greater than 0, this statement is true. Okay, so if the statement is true, what we have to do, he is telling us to jump again back to line 2. Okay, we have to jump back again to line 2. What is line 2? Print c, that means again you have to print c. But what is the value exists in c now? It is 4. 4 has been printed, and now it came down, and 4 minus 2 is 2. Okay, now it is checking with 2. Yes, 2 is greater than 0, and the condition is true. If the condition is true, it's telling us to jump again back to line 2. Okay, we have jumped back to line 2, and 2 has been printed. Now 2 minus 2, that is 0. 0 is greater than 0? No, false. Right? The statement is false, right? So as the statement is false, now your code has been stopped here. Okay, the block of if has been ended. So what is the final output we have got? 642, right? So you have to understand there is no loop here, right? He doesn't write any loop here. But if you see this code snippet, it is iterating every time if the condition is true. Okay, so if we write any statement like this, you have to check where the line contains. Okay, generally he'll give in a comment and he'll mention the line number also. Okay, that means you have to jump to that line when only this if becomes true. If true aitene a line jump avali, otherwise you no need to jump there. Okay. So it is, yes, D, it is there, option D, 642. Okay, so read count. See, what is the output of Boolean code? Okay, count equal to 5. That means if you see any line that read count, he will mention the value here. Okay, in the question itself, he will mention the value. That means now your count is equal to 5. Okay, so in a variable count, we have stored 5. We have read 5 and we have stored in a count. Okay, so even to 0. So we have declared even to 0. Now your even is 0. That means it says that there is a variable called even, and that the value exists in that variable is 0. Okay, set x to 0. This indicates that there is a variable called x, and this x is also equal to 0. Okay, so count is 5, and there is a variable even, that is also 0. X is also 0. Now he is checking this condition. Okay, what is the condition here? So x in the sense it is 0. 0 is less than 5. Yes, true, it is true, right? So it went down, set even to even plus 2. Okay, that means what we are doing, we have a variable called even, right? So we had written even plus 2. So what is the value exist in even? It is 0. So 0 plus 2 is 2. Okay, so now it contains 2 in it. Okay, now your even variable contains a value 2. Okay, and you came down and you made your x to 2. Okay, x became 2, and you have printed your even. What is the value exist in even? It is 2, right? Okay, again it went top to the loop and it is checking with the, okay, sorry, your x become 1. Okay, because defaultly it is 0, 0 plus 1 is 1. So now you have to check with 1. 1 is less than 5. Yeah, it is true. So it came down and now it incremented by 2 again. So 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay, it is 4. And you made your access 2. And now you printed the value which exists in event, that is 4. Okay, and now you went back again to the loop. Now it is checking with the 2 is less than 5. Yes, it is true. So now you have incremented again by 2. If you observe here, you are printing even numbers, right? You are printing all the even numbers. Now it made 6 and your hex has been incremented by 3 and 6 has been printed. Okay, 6 has been printed. Okay, and again it went top to the loop with 3. So 3 and you made it as plus 2. That means it is 8. Okay, and it became 4 and you have printed 8. Okay, again it went top to the loop with 4. Okay, your 8 became 10 because plus 2, right? So that is 10 and your x became 5 and you have printed the 10. Now again it went top to the loop with 5. 5 to వెళ్ళింది. Now the condition became false. Yes, at this point condition became false. That means the loop has been breaked. So finally what are the values we have printed? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, right? These are the values we have printed. So let us see. Yes, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. These is the values we have printed by using this code snippet. Okay, if the value has been changed, then you have to repeat the code for until the condition becomes false. Okay, see, so we have seen this pseudocode from yesterday, right? There is no syntactical formation, right? So you don't think that they give an error because they don't have any syntax. Okay, okay, now we will compile this. So what is the output of the following pseudocode? So he declared two variables, f and g, and he also initialized the values to the both the variables. So f contains 6, right? So f contains 6 and g contains 9. Okay, two variables have been declared and initialized also, and he had taken another variable called sum. So it contains 0 and he declared an integer I. Okay, now he's checking a condition. Let us check the condition is true or false first. Okay, what is z? It is 9. 9 is greater than 6. Yes, it is true. So the condition became true. Yes, so the if block is true, so it is entering into for because it next to the if it is for, right? So now we are writing a loop. Let us see what is the starting and the ending point of this loop, how many times it is iterating. So generally starting the loop from f, what is the value of x? That means it is starting from 6 and the loop will iterate until it becomes false, right? So what is the condition he had given? I less than or equal to g. G in the sense 9. So that means the loop will generate up to 9, right? By incrementing by 1 1 every time, the loop will iterate up to 9, right? If you observe the loop iteration, first it is starting from 6. Yes, 6 is less than or equal to 9, true. So 6 and then 6 will be incremented by 1, that means 7. 7 is also less than or equal to 9 and then 7 will become 8. 8 is also less than or equal to 9, so and then it will become 9. 9 is also less than or equal to 9 and then it will become 10. As 10 is not less than or equal to 9. That means the loop is iterating up to 6 to 9. Okay, so your I value, that means your I value is iterating, your I will be from 6 to 9. Okay, so first it is added 6, right? So because your loop is giving the first value is 6, so 6 is added to sum, so your sum became 6. And then your loop is giving an another value 7. Okay, then you have to add 6 plus 7, so the final result is 13. Okay, and then you have got another value that is 8, because your loop give all the values 6 to 9, right? First 6 and then 7 and then 8 and then 9. So you added 6 and 7, now you have to add 8. So 8 plus 13, it is 21, and then the last final value the loop is iterating is 9. So 21 plus 9 is 30. Okay, now the loop has been ended. It doesn't go for else, right? Because the block has been executed finally, because your if is true, so it doesn't go for else. So now your if and all this has been ended. Now we print the sum. He's telling to print the sum. Okay, your sum is 30. Yeah, we'll see the option here. Yes, 30 is the option here. So the answer for this is 30. Right? So the solution for the code snippet is 30. Now we'll see this. Actually, I'll copy the solution part also. Okay, which of the following option is suitable condition for while? Okay, for while is there any for limit? Okay, we can't see it. Which of the following option is suitable condition for while for limit equal to 6 to get an output? Okay, so you is asking us to get an output. This output. So actually to be saving time, let us see, and let me count how many values are there. So E output రావాలంటున్నాడు, right? He is asking us to get what is the condition you have to place here. What should be the condition you have to place here in while, so that it gives an output this, and he has given that the limit will be 6. Okay, now you have to write a condition so that you should get that output. Okay, so you have to guess that output. So what if you take count is greater than or equal to limit? What is your count? That is 1, right? Okay, we'll check for with C. What if you take count greater than or equal to limit limit? This is false, right? Because your count is 1 and your limit is 6. 1 is not greater than 6. That means C is not a correct option to pick. Okay. The B option. Okay, count less than limit. Okay, there may be a chance. Limit. What if you take count less than limit? How many times the loop is iterating? Let us find how many times the loop will iterate. So first initially it will start from 1. 1 will be incremented by 2, right? So first it is iterating with 1, yes, and second time 2, and third 4, 5, 6, right? So when your count becomes 6, 6 is not less than 6, right? So now you can count how many times the loop is iterating. Now only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have a values of 7 here, right? 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 1, 3. So this is also not the correct option to choose, because your output line contains more numbers than all, right? So okay, we'll compare by taking this also. First your condition is 1 is less than 6. Okay. So this is true, right? We came down and we made our count to 2, and now we have printed n3. What is the value exist in n3? It is 1. Okay, fine. And you made your n3 as n1 plus n2. What is the value exist in n1? 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. So it is 1. And you made your n1 as 1. So your n1 as 1, and you made a n2. You made your n2 as n3. What is the value exist in n3? It is 1. So that means now your n1 and n2 values has been changed. Your n1 has been changed to 1, and your n2 has been changed to 1. Now again it went again top to the loop. Now 2 less than 2. Yeah, 2 less than 6 is true. So it went inside and it incremented the count and printed the value what is exist in N3. Okay, what is the value exist in N3? It is 1. Right? So generally I hope, see I'm copying all this from previously asked or in PDFs. Okay, actually I have seen many errors while they're pasting. Okay, this question may be asked at some point, right? So actually we'll get again 1, I think so. Again we'll get 1 because your entry is still 1 will be printed, right? Hope I make a mistake while copying this code. Even I'll have a PDF here. Let me see in PDF. Yes, this is what I have copied, right? So if you observe, there is some mistake in this, I think so, because we're getting again. Even now we'll check here. Your N2 is 1 and your N3 is 1. So first is printing your N3. N3 in the sense it is 1 will be printed, and then 0 plus 1 is 1. Again your N3 is 1, right? By default it is 1. When you add both N1 and N2 also it is 1 again, and you make your N1 as 1 and you made your N2 is also 1. Now your N1 and N2 are 1. Again it went top to the loop and your count became incremented and it printed you again N3. N3 is 1. Now your N3 became 2. Okay, after second iteration your N3 value is getting changed, right? So I hope there is an error in this code. Okay, we'll ignore this and we'll see the next question. See in pseudocode, in Capgemini pseudocode, when they have been asked, they don't have any errors. Okay, the code will be absolutely fine because they'll check 1 to 100 times and then place the code. Okay, now we are gathering these code things from the previously asked, right? That means any one of the guy who has attempted this exam has taken these questions. While they're copying or while they're typing this, they make some mistakes, right? So I hope that's what the mistake is about. Even I am removing all the questions which are having mistakes, but I didn't see this question. I hope. We'll see this type of question. We'll see. Yeah. See, is there a chance? Yes, there may be a chance asking of this type of questions by following some syntax. Okay. If you observe, you may think that this code will give 3 times hello, right? Because he has declared I equal to 0. That means the loop is starting from 0 and it is going up to 2, right? So that means this loop will iterate values 0, 1, 2. When the value becomes 3, the loop will be break, right? When the value becomes 3, it is break. So that means the loop is repeating for 3 times. 0, 1, 2. That means 3 times. So we'll think that hello will be printed for 3 times, but you have stopped this loop, right? So if you have mentioned any semicolon, right? Any colon here, this colon will indicates that this for has been stopped at that point. Okay, that means there is no relation between this print and this for. Okay, if for key print key, there is no relation. Okay, okay, you may get confused. We'll see in C. Okay, we'll see that in C. Actually, that print and the for don't have any relation. Okay. I'll open any one of the code. Okay. Already, I hope I written a for loop. You'll see this. Okay. Instead of this, let us print it. Okay. Instead of equal to, let me remove.
నువ్వు అడగకు సార్ నాకు కాకినాడ కూడా దగ్గర సార్ కాకినాడ కూడా
Okay, so you don't need of declaration all this stuff. Just in time, and let us make this print hello. Okay, if you run the code, this let us see by executing this code. So we got only one hello, right? Yes, this code will give only one hello because this print and this for has any relation. Okay, because you are stopping your loop by placing that colon there. Okay, so that says that this print doesn't belong to the loop. Okay, you see that says that colon says that for don't belongs to this print statements. So after all iterations of this loop, okay, finally the print will be executed. Okay, see the loop is getting iterated, but it is not there is no statement inside for. Okay, loop execute outundi. Okay, loop is getting executed, but there is no statement in for because for has been stopped at this point. Okay, for example, let us see what is the value exist in I. Okay, what is the value exist in I? We'll see what is the value exist in I. So percentage of D comma I. We'll print that. If you see the value of I, it is 3, right? Yes, the value of I is 3. That means the loop is iterating. Okay, loop agipoledandi, loop is iterating. Okay, but all the iterations of loop, okay, the for loop has been completed, and now finally it executed the print statement. Okay, and finally it executed the print statement. What if you place this inside, and if you remove this colon, and if you execute now you're getting the values, right? 1 2. Okay, if you start from 0, you'll get 0 1 2. Sorry, okay, you got 0 1 2, right? So if you make here hi, now if you make any statement here, now the hello will be printed for 3 times because now this print statement has a relation with for loop. Okay, this print is inside of the for loop. Now we can say that this print is inside the loop. Okay, what if you place a colon? That means you have ending your loop at that point. Okay, now if you write any number of statements here, that doesn't belong to the for. Okay, so the code, the output of this code is will get only one time as hello. Only okkasari vastundandi hello. Okay, you get only one time. Okay, so we'll see the one more question, the last question. Okay, and one thing I have to tell you that every day the link of this class will be changed. Okay, I'm trying to message you guys, everybody. So the link of this class will change every time. Okay, so implementation to find the factorial of a number, input int n equal to 6 I, int fact equal to 1. That means he's starting a fact variable from 1, and he write a loop that starts from 1. So that means your I is starting from 1. Okay, your I is starting from 1 to what is the value of n? It is 6. Okay, now your loop is iterating from 1 to 6. Okay, what would be the statement you have to write here? Okay, to find factorial, what we have to write? Yes, we know, simply fact fact equal to fact fact into I, right? This is the factorial of a number. Okay, if your number is 6, how you can find a factorial? You will write a loop and you will bring all the numbers from 1 to that number, and you will multiply and you will store them. Finally you will print that fact, right? So this is the line you have to place at this line. Okay, this is the condition you have to place. Okay, let us see solutions. Fact equal to fact plus 1, no. I, no. Fact equal to fact into I. This is the statement you have to place at that following line.